Hey there, Steve Rubis with another installment of Capital Markets Investor Relations in 2 minutes or less. This week, we're going to start on our discussion of how to fire a sell-side analyst. And it's a controversial topic that management teams would love to get perspective on. And the reason is that when a company gets a sell rating, it's very personal because it carries reputational, career, and compensation risk for that management team. And a management team certainly can respond in a personal manner. It's within their right, but they need to recognize that they're probably going to get a negative outcome or an outcome that they don't particularly want if they take it personal. So the first rule is don't attack the investment thesis. Management teams need to recognize that there are several levers at their fingertips to constructively respond and defend against a sell rating or a negative analyst. Now, the second rule is that the analyst has to mess up for there to be a change. And the way that analyst has to mess up is the banking relationship needs to degrade, bad corporate access, or ambush investor meetings coming from that analyst. And then third, you want to remember that analysts are really your friend at the end of the day. They're your Salesforce for your stock, and it's cyclical. They may be negative today or have a sell rating today, but 6 or 8 months from now, they may actually have a buy rating, and it'll be because you convince them to change your mind. And lastly, to wrap it all up, you have to think about investor relations as the enforcer in these situations. They're Marty McSorley to Wayne Gretzky or Dennis Rodman to Michael Jordan. A company cannot afford to have a CEO or CFO get into a scrum with an investor who's negative. And the reason is when you put a sell rating on something, a lot of times it's about who throws a temper tantrum first. So if management gets angry and acts inappropriately, the sell rated investor wins. And that's where investor relations can do some work on the back end to smooth things over and make sure we're having constructive conversations and convincing those investors to change their minds. So for the balance of this week, we're going to walk through the philosophy behind getting a change in research coverage, talk about my sell-side franchise as the archetype for the analyst you wanted to get out of the book, how I fired an analyst when I was an IRO, analysts as your friend, and then really the idea of the state of war in personalities may explain why there's such a personal take on negative ratings. And with that, thanks for watching. Always here to help you with your capital markets, investor relations, and corporate finance needs.